Hello and thank you for tuning in to Millennial Movies. Today's video I'm going to be talking about episode 9 of Castle Rock, as well as talking about some of the Easter eggs. Although there's few of them, there's still a few to talk about at the end of the episode. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. We see at the beginning of this episode that the kid is getting all dressed and fancy like for work. And we find out that he's a doctor and that he's an Alzheimer's disease researcher. Shout out to Puck the Cat, by the way. But yeah, and we also find out that his name is actually Henry Deaver, and that he is not being his creepy self that we've been seeing for the past 8 episodes. Why is that? Well, this is an alternate universe. This is the kids' universe. So basically what happened is, to get to the point that where we are now at the very beginning, so we can lay the groundwork, is Ruth never had a miscarriage. She never lost the baby that she did in Little Henry Deaver's universe that we've been watching for the past 8 episodes, but rather she had the baby and they named him Henry Deaver. So they never adopted in this universe. And what ended up happening is she did take Alan Pangborn's advice, and she decided that she was going to leave Matthew because, of course, he was starting to act out really crazy like and just getting a little out of hand. So she did leave him in this universe with the kid, and they became all right. They turned out okay. And then what happened is we see in the episode when the kid is out with his woman, he gets a call from Alan Pangborn saying that it's his father. So he returns to Castle Rock. And when he returns to Castle Rock, by the way, there's a lot of parallels and similarities to when Henry Deaver, adult Henry Deaver, returned to Castle Rock in episode 1, to the way that the kid returns to Castle Rock in episode 9, like the way they both look up at the church, the way they both arrive back to their old houses on foot with one bag in hand. So yeah, one piece of luggage in hand, and we find out basically that in the kid's universe, his father Matthew Deaver committed suicide, and basically the kid finds that there's a child locked inside a cage in his house, and basically Matthew Deaver built this cage, and he put little Henry Deaver in it, believing that he was the devil because Matthew kept going out into the woods to try and hear the schisma. And what ended up happening is, accidentally, somehow, some way, little Henry Deaver stepped into the kid's universe and ran into Matthew in the woods and basically told him all the stuff he wanted to hear. And Matthew, going crazy, believed that this is what God had been sending him out into the woods for. And so he believes that little Henry Deaver is the devil, and he locks him up in this cage. And little Henry Deaver, despite being in this universe for like 15 years or so, he never ages one bit, just like the kid never aged in the original Castle Rock universe that we've been watching for the past 8 episodes. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff happening, right? Well, yeah, going on from there, the kid goes and meets up with Molly, and basically he's him and her are trying to figure out what's going on, because he listens to all these tapes that his father recorded, and he shares them with her. And when they talk to the kid inside of the police station, Molly touches little Henry Deaver, and she basically gets a glimpse into what's going on with him and why he needs to go back into the woods like he tried to do earlier. And so she and Henry Deaver, aka or the kid, take little Henry Deaver, and they say that just to try and get him back into the woods, to try and save him somehow. They don't know how yet, but they just know that he needs to go back into the woods. And so what ends up happening is, when they go into the woods, we see that there's all these different doorways and pathways to alternate universes. We see all types of different scenarios and like crazy things happening, with like a little girl with a knife in her hand, this other girl who's cutting her wrists, a bunch of birds flying in the air like crazy. So much stuff is going on in all these like little pockets of different universes. And basically what happens is, Officer Zemeckis, who makes a nice return, good for him, I like his character, he accidentally kills Molly. And so that also coincides with what we saw in the last episode, where Molly saw a vision of herself dead in the woods, and of course she saw herself dead in the kid's timeline. So that's what happened That's what happens to her. She gets killed, and she tells the kid, she tells Bill Skarsgård that basically her last dying wish was for him to help little Henry get to his other universe where he belongs. So that also makes sense with the line that we got in last episode where the kid tells Henry, adult Henry, that he never asked for any of this. He didn't ask to go and save him and get trapped inside an alternate timeline. So this episode really just explains the entire situation for the past 8 episodes. So in the kids' universes, Bill Skarsgård helps little Henry Deaver. He helps him get back into his original timeline, but in doing so, he himself accidentally stumbles into the kid into little Henry Deaver's timeline with him. So while little Henry Deaver does get saved and returned safely, the kid gets trapped in that universe with him. So I forget when Warden Lacey, when he discovers the kid in the alternate timeline, he doesn't believe him at all when he tells him that his name is Henry Deaver, because to the warden, the Henry Deaver is little Henry Deaver, not the kid. So he believes him to be crazy, and he thinks, just like Matthew, that that the kid is the devil, and he builds a cage under Shawshank and he locks him up there for 27 years. And much like little Henry Deaver in the kids universe, Bill Skarsgård's character does not age one bit in little Henry Deaver's universe. So yeah, basically, it's kind of like one whole misunderstanding, like one big accident. And so it also explains that what they tell Henry Deaver, what that one officer told him in a past episode, I believe it was episode 8, actually. She tells him no matter where he goes, all this type of danger seems to follow him. And of course that's what Warden Lacey believed of the kid. He said that wherever he goes, all this chaos follows him. And basically it's not so much the kid and Henry Deaver, but it's just the fact that they're in different timelines where they don't belong. So in each timeline, when they're in there, of course not correctly in there, it's basically the universe trying to correct the universe and correct the timeline and make changes to it. And so, of course, all these crazy events start happening, because it's just so the unpredictability of the universe being disturbed and the flow of the universe being disturbed. So at least that's what I got out of the episode. Certainly a lot of craziness. I hope I explained it right, or as well as I possibly could have. I don't know. I tried my best. So if you didn't understand, you might have to go back and watch the episode again. Please give me a break, because boy, did I try my best to try and explain this as well as I possibly could. So I think the questions now going forward into the final episode of the season is, will the kid, Bill Skarsgård, be able to return to his own universe and the life that he left there? How would he cope after all that's happened to him? And what could happen if he does get back to the timeline, or what happens if he doesn't get back? And who knows? Or does this possibly mean, because of these doorways, does that mean that other people, other entities could possibly cross into different timelines and create havoc throughout the different alternate universes? Who knows? A lot of questions that remain to be answered. But I think that this was certainly the most satisfying episode of Castle Rock that we've gotten thus far, because this episode explained it explained pretty much a lot of the past 8 episodes plot lines. So I'm certainly happy with this episode. I think it's my favorite of the series thus far, and I'm super hyped for episode 10. I cannot tell you how hyped I am, to be quite honest with you. I'm looking forward to it very much. So now, Easter eggs. Again, like I said, not very many Easter eggs, but when the kid is back at this little festival that's going on there in Castle Rock, he comes across this Caliborn cream, which is kind of like a play on words to Dolores Claiborne, who is, of course, that's a novel by Mr. Stephen King himself. So that's a nice little nod to some eagle-eyed fans there. And of course, like I said earlier, with all these different doors and pathways to different timelines, That's very much straight out of Dark Tower right there. All these different doorways that are leading into alternate universes. So that's some stuff straight out of Dark Tower for you. But yeah, that's pretty much really all the only Easter eggs we have. But boy, do I really can't I really want to see how they finish off this season. And yeah, next episode's going to be quite a blast. But anyways, guys, this has been it for this video. I recently put up a Stephen King related video in my It Chapter 2 leaked set photos that reveal some scenes that are going to be adapted into Chapter 2 for the novel. So if you're like that, you might want to check that out on the channel. Also, recently I did a Stranger Things video, and I did a video talking about some casting news for The Witcher Netflix TV series, and a whole bunch of other stuff on the channel for all you horror movie and TV fans. So yeah, go ahead and check that out. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing. It does help out the channel grow, and leave a like if you'd like as well. Get it, like. But yeah. Anyways, guys, this has been it for me, and I will see you all very soon.